All right, so let's go ahead and work through this. We're given this equation in here. This is in the little paragraph in the story, in the book, that it's got this kind of half of an equation. And they're asking us to find out all kinds of things about this function when we know that equation. So the first thing we are asked is, how many fish did they release? 5. How do we know that? 5 is where P should be. So if we compare our A equals P1 plus or minus R to the T with the equation that they gave us, which was Q of X, which is just fancy words for Y. Oh, it was P of X. Make sure I get things right. They gave us 5B to the X. So we know that they started with 5 because it was in the place of the P. So part B, they told us that after 8 weeks, there were 33 fish. So what is our base? What would this piece be? Say it again. Yes. Well, they gave us some information, so we're trying to calculate that number. What would the number be?
1.268.
Yeah. 1.266.
Oh, so you asked for the answer?
Yeah, the answer. So that B is 1.266. We got that from, doing the thing where it follows my brain. Substituting in the values we have. We know this is a 5. We were trying to figure out the B. They told us that there were 33 after 8 weeks. So we used that to solve around and get B. Which means our growth factor, what was the growth factor for this problem versus the rate? We're going to do both factor and rate. 0.266 is which one? No. That's the rate. That's the rate as a decimal is 0.266. The rate as a percent, what is it as a percent? 26.6%. So if that's the rate, that's what was added to the 1. What is our growth factor? The 1.266, that whole base. Okay, so it's looking at that same piece just in 2 different ways. One is the amount that it's changing. One is the thing that gets raised to the exponent. And the reason I've had us find our growth factor and our growth rate is they cannot decide on the final which one they're asking about. So I'm having us hit both so that we can tell the difference. Because I still don't know which one they're going to ask us. They've asked both, and they don't make a big impactive point about it. Okay, and so then the last part of this one, it's a Friday, I guess it's a pretty easy day, is hypothetically. So, new equation. Let's say B was 2. What if it was 5 times 2 to the x? B is 2. What would that mean the growth rate is? 1. So what is that as a percent? 100%. So our rate would be 100%. Our factor is that 2 that's raised to the exponent. So if it is increasing by 100%, that means it's being raised into a factor of 2, which in common language, what does it mean if it's got a growth factor of 2? What's another word we could use for that? It's a word that you know and that we've used, but not in a long time. It starts with a D. If it's got a growth factor of 2, meaning it's times 2 each time, it's going to double. So our growth factor of 2 is where we get that double. So if our growth factor was 3, it would be triple. If it was a growth factor of 4, it would be quadruple. So the growth factor is what ties into that word. The word, like doubling doesn't tie to our percents. So double only applies to the growth factor. So sometimes that's a place that becomes a sticking point because we see double, we put that in for R, and we wind up with a 300% increase. So I just wanted to kind of tuck that little nugget in our brains. Okay? So again, the growth factor and the growth rate are things we definitely need to remember from this animal portion. Those things, those pieces have shown up on the final in some way, shape, or form the last 3 years. Growth factor or growth rate. Not usually both, but at least one of them. Okay, so those pieces will be there. The project that we're going to do as a chapter, like sum up, is going to have to do with money. Like it is. Like that's how we're doing it. So it's going to be really based on the things we do in the next 2 weeks. The next 2 weeks, we focus on the money. We focus on credit cards, mortgages, car payments, retirement savings, all those things. So really, really real worldy stuff. Okay, so now is an excellent time when you guys have 20 minutes before the weekend. Let's reduce some of our stress, increase some of our grades so our grown-ups get less grumpy at us if we miss curfew on Saturday. Like, oh, hey, I've got, just saying. I'm trying to help out. Also using the tools at my disposal. So there's not an additional homework tonight. So you guys have 20 minutes. Do something. Almost all of you have at least one thing missing on Canvas. I only got in the almost because I haven't looked recently. Okay, let me look. Let's go over to the homeworks. Even just for this chapter. Oh, they're not showing up in the grades book. There we go. Everybody has at least something missing. Okay, so do a thing. Do something.